Okay, Fightlands are back once again at the Casa del Froch. Carl, how you been? Good weekend?
Yeah, good weekend. Yeah, I was at the fight the weekend.
How you got down?
Yeah, Joshua Boatsi against Dan Aziz.
Yeah.
Good fight. And Ben Whitaker was on. Bit of a showman he is, so I always enjoy that. I was inspired to get back into boxing from Prince Nassim Hamed.
Yeah.
In his days, he's like one of my inspiration heroes, if you like.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good weekend of boxing. I enjoyed it.
Busy weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, a lot of news as well. I think we're going to talk about it. Tyson Fury getting cut and the big fight's off for now. It's been postponed.
Disappointing. Second time it's been postponed, as predicted by yourself.
Yeah, I did. I was
Froch.
dubious. Well, I thought he'd pull out Tyson with an injury, or he'd say I've got a bad back or something. But to be fair to him, to have a cut that requires actual stitches, then it's a genuine injury, and the fight does need delaying. It's been postponed.
Yeah.
But I've still got my reservations as to whether or not that fight happens. But when there's a lot of money at stake and there's a lot of money involved, then usually these things do happen, don't they?
That's it. We'll come on to the cut in a minute, but should we start with Ben Whitaker, because I think he's a pretty exciting prospect. Obviously a silver medalist at the Olympics.
Yeah.
Very good hand speed, good technical boxer. Bit too much showboating for you, or you like to see that? Like you said, you compared him to Prince Nassim. The referee wasn't too keen on it, though. He had a word with him, didn't he? Took him to the corner.
I think, the referee was upset. So to answer your question, yes, I do like that. I think boxing, fundamentally, it's a business and it's an entertainment business. People come to be entertained. Yeah. And Prince Nassim was like, he was separated from the rest of them, wasn't he? Because he was so different. And some of the shots he threw was awkward angles, but they're eye-catching shots. A lot of power, a lot of knockouts, and a bit of showmanship, a bit of showboating. And Muhammad Ali started with a shuffle, and then Sugar Ray Leonard does it with the arm wind. Yeah. He kind of does it all. I won't like to compete with him on the dance floor. Let me say that, because he's got some moves.
All right, the 360 and the old...
Yeah, I mean, he said the referee didn't like it. When, excuse me, when the referee pulled him up, he pulled him up actually for throwing a backhand. So if you're side onto your opponent and you're walking away, which he does quite a lot, then he'll throw a feint and then he'll attack. He sort of flicked his left arm out. So it kind of comes from the back of the hand. So that's an illegal shot in boxing. That's why the ref stopped him.
Okay.
And obviously turning around, you can't turn your back on your opponent because it's dangerous. But other than that, I just think he's an exciting prospect. Like you said, he won a silver medal in the Olympics. I believe it was the Tokyo Olympics.
That's right.
And so the fact that he got the Olympic silver medal shows that he's got the pedigree. And to be a top amateur and be able to compete and come second in the world in the Olympics with that silver medal, he can definitely fight. And now he's transitioned into professional boxing, and he's showing that he's got power, hand speed, the reflexes, the skills, the moves. He seems to have everything, but we won't find out what's going off up there and what's going on in there in the heart until he's tested. So for now, great prospect, ticking all the boxes. But let's see when he gets in with somebody like when Prince Nassim Hamed faced Marco Antonio Barrera. It was the end of his reign, wasn't it? Yeah. And all Barrera did was box cute behind a nice Queensbury-style boxing. And that was enough. I mean, Naz was past his best, and he was going through promotional disputes and legal problems at the time. And his training camp, when you see his training camp after, so you can make excuses for why that performance was below par. But as you step up the level and step up the quality of opposition, you do need to tighten your defence and think about where your shots are coming from and the energy that you waste as well. It's all right looking slick and skillful and dancing around and doing all these big moves, but they sap your energy. Yeah. And he's not doing 12 round fights at the minute.
True.
Doing 6 and 8 rounds as he's building up. So to do 12 rounds is hard enough without dancing in between your shots. You know what I mean? So we'll see. He's exciting. I rate him. I think he'll do very well. But he's in a tough division as well.
That's another point, yeah.
Which will change by the time he gets to world level.
Well, I was going to ask you, because obviously, like you said, being a world level boxer requires so many different attributes. But yourself in your career, people say like your grittiness, your determination. What one attribute do you think defined you as a boxer?
Me, I think it was my ability to, my toughness and my refusal to quit. Yeah. I didn't have any quit in me. I'd never give up. And I'd been dropped twice in my career, got up to win, never been knocked out, taken some hellish punches off some top fighters. And I'd take on all challenges. But my biggest attribute, I think, was just my toughness and my fitness. Yeah. And that's just down to my dedication and my commitment. So I never missed a run, never missed a gym session. If I did through injury, I'd always try and make up for it. I kept a diary for every day of my pro career. So every camp, I've got books in my office from 2002 to 2014 when I retired. Black diaries with every run, every press up, every pull up, every round of sparring. Not every meal, but my diet was kept, all my weights logged, and my times on my runs. So I know that 6 minute 35 is my fastest mile. over 6 miles, and I know the pace for the sprints, the hill sprints, what times I should be doing when I'm doing a 30, like a 80-metre sprint. It's mad. Everything's in there. Amazing. I think it'll be quite useful one day to release all that information for the up and coming. Because when you turn professional, you kind of. I had Rob McCracken, but it's like you do a run, we've got to do a 6 mile run. And 6 miles, it's not easy. It's like 10k.
Yeah.
But how fast are you supposed to do that run? You know what I mean? How and then
depending on to measure yourself,
depending on whether there's hills involved, and you know when you've got a rough idea, and people can say, right, Carl Froch used to do 6 miles in under 40 minutes, and it was flat on a nice sunny day, but he dropped that down to 38 on a sunny day when there's no wind. They know what they're working towards, and I wasn't the best runner, but it gives you some idea of where you need to be minimum to be a world champion, fitness-wise.
Yeah.
So it's going to be helpful one day. But yeah, I was very sort of OCD, if you like. I was very meticulous with my training, consummate professional. And yeah, to answer your question, that was my biggest attribute, my toughness and my work ethic.
Yeah, and your ability to take a punch as well. Because like
George
Froch said, he felt he could just never knock you out in the rematch.
Yeah, I mean, that was a massive attribute, but that's not something you can really work on.
No, you can't.
You can either take a punch on the chin and you're rendered unconscious. So neurologically, your brain switches off. Or you take a punch and you just lick your lips and smile at your opponent, which is disheartening. So I've had people do that to me when I've hit him with my biggest shot. You know what I mean? But yeah, unfortunately for George Groves, who pointed that out, he got rendered unconscious in front of all them people at Wembley Stadium.
How many was it again?
But we're still friends. 80,000.
80,000.
Did you not know?
No, I just wanted to double check. Yeah, we know. But yeah, no, good. But George is doing fine, isn't he? And but yeah, should we move on to Tyson Fury and his dad, who's obviously had a few words to you, but you had a good comeback video on Froch Fighting, which is racking up the views. Yeah. Where do we stand now?
Well, we poked the beer, didn't we, on this channel?
That's exactly what happened last time.
We poked the beer on this channel. We set it up.
Yeah, we questioned Tyson Fury's resume, didn't we?
Well, at the end of the day, I was talking about Tyson Fury's resume, and I wasn't having a go at Tyson. I'm a big Tyson Fury fan. He made his professional debut on my undercard, who was promoted by the same promoter. I spent a lot of time in Ireland with him training for my world title fight, and I've got nothing against him. But the problem with people is that they don't like to hear criticism sometimes, and I'm very honest. Someone will ask me a question, I don't think, right, how shall I answer this so I don't upset somebody? How shall I answer this so I'm aligning with that political agenda, or I'm going to go along with that narrative? I don't. Ask me a question and I'll tell you straight to your face what I think. I won't pull any punches.
That's why we're here.
It's the hard truth. And if you don't like the truth, don't ask the questions. You know what I mean? If you don't like listening to me, don't tune in. You know what I mean? So I was asked about Tyson Fury's resume, and I'll just give my honest answer. His best win's Klitschko, who was 40 years old. I don't need to repeat it. People know what I said.
Go back over it, but
he's beat 4 world champions. He had 3 great fights with Deontay Wilder. Didn't win all 3 of them. He drew one of them. Won the other 2 in close fights. Climbed off the canvas a few times to win. So fair play to him. But that's your resume. Deontay Wilder, Klitschko, and a guy called who was it? Steve Cunningham.
Steve Cunningham.
Who was a pumped-up cruiserweight who dropped Tyson Fury, and he struggled against Otto Wallin. He got that massive cut. The fight could have been stopped, but he still won.
Because the new cut is in exactly the same place as the cut that he got against Otto Wallin.
It depends which clip you see, because when he's filming himself on selfie mode, it flips a mirror image, and everyone's like, "Hang on a minute, that's above his right eye. I thought it was his left eye, or vice versa."
Yeah, because when you watch the actual sparring session, where
it hit his right eye, so it was a left elbow. Into his right eye, and then when he's filming himself, it's over his left eye. No, it's a mirror image. Okay, the only thing that I'd say that's conspiratorial around that cut is the timing of it, because that injury, for me, is not an acute injury. It's not fresh. It's stitched up, which happens immediately almost, but it's scabbed over, the swelling's gone down, and the bruising's coming out. Now, when you get hematoma or bruising, it doesn't come out straight away. You can bang your arm, and then 2 days later the bruise starts to come out. Then it looks fresh, and then it starts to go a different colour, and like yellowy, a lighter yellowy, purpley blue. Well, that's a week old in my eyes. Not a day old when he did that video. Why they've done that? Maybe because they've panicked. Right, I've got a cut. Is it going to be okay? How do I feel? What's it look like? And then they've left it a week. Then they've announced it to the world. But they've announced it when they've got a plan in place. And the plan is May 18th. Let's announce it. So everyone's upset that the fight stopped and annoyed because of that. It's the biggest fight in world boxing. The unification of heavyweight title's not happened since Lennox Lewis in, was it 98? I think it was. It was over 20 years ago. So they've planned it right. They've announced that he's fighting now May 18th, but I'm still not convinced.
Still sceptical.
I just don't think Tyson Fury's heart
But did you see
is in the game anymore.
He looked in good shape though, didn't he?
Mate, that picture's another one.
Is that another
That's
one,
like the moon landing, that picture.
Yeah.
I've seen that picture before.
Well, we need him holding up a newspaper with today's date on
We
it,
do,
don't
that's exactly what we need.
Yeah, that's true. So we don't know. But that cut though, is Usyk going to think, you know, if I target that side of his face specifically, try and open up that cut?
Maybe. I mean, you'd target that anyway because it's been opened up pretty bad before.
Yeah,
Scar tissue is not as strong as what Mother Nature gives you, but
No.
I don't think you'd particularly aim for a certain section of the face. You're just trying to hit somebody in the head, and if it catches their eye and it cuts them, then it's a bonus, if you like, in the boxing world.
Yeah. There was talk about a different opponent or a new opponent in the meantime for Usyk.
Well, we don't know what's happening, do we?
No.
Usyk really, I think, needs to be kept busy because this rescheduled date is about 14 weeks away.
Yeah.
You don't need a 12-week camp when you're already fit.
Right.
So he could fight, provided he comes through unscathed, have 3 or 4 weeks off, maybe 2 or 3 weeks off, and then get straight back on it.
Yeah, there's been talk about Hrgovic.
Hrgovic is the IBF champion.
Opponent? Yeah.
Well, I think the IBF's becoming vacant and they'll fight for the vacant title. So very worthy opponent, actually a dangerous opponent for Usyk. I think Usyk beats him.
Yeah.
But it's not a gimme fight. It's not a journeyman fight where he's going to be guaranteed the win and he might get injured because Hrgovic will come and have a go. But he's on 2 weeks' notice, Hrgovic. So if he takes it, he's taking it for the money and he's turning up probably knowing he's going to get beat. I think Usyk's too good for Hrgovic.
Too good for most, really, isn't
yeah,
it?
he is.
As we've seen.
But he's far superior to most because of his amateur career and the career at Cruiserweight and his work ethic. But you can't give Hrgovic 2 weeks' notice and expect him to turn up and beat
It's
Usyk.
unfair. I don't think he'd want that, would he? Well, what about the fact that all this furore around Tyson Fury, does that affect Anthony Joshua in any way? Obviously, he's in camp now. He's got his head down. He hasn't actually said anything publicly about that. But what do you think he'll be thinking about all this?
I think Anthony Joshua will be licking his lips. He's in against somebody who's making his second professional fight. Now, not professional fight, actually. Let me rephrase that. Second professional boxing match. He's a mixed martial arts world champion, heavyweight, one of the most dangerous man on the planet.
Yeah.
And he's only making his second fight as a professional. So really and truly, this fight for Anthony Joshua will be as easy or as hard as he wants to make it. I think AJ can get behind his boxing ability, them boxing skills that won him Olympic gold in London in 2012, and 2 times world heavyweight champion. And he's fought most of them. He's got a great CV, Anthony Joshua. You know, he takes on all comers, and he's shared the ring with Usyk twice, 24 rounds. He's gone the distance twice, and he just scraped through the distance in that last round of the first and second one. But he's still got it. He's got the experience, being in with the best, in my opinion, in the world. And he can sit back and just see how this heavyweight landscape sort of pans out.
Yeah, because he's positioned himself pretty well.
Well, he's fighting.
If he wins this, then he's just there lurking.
He's fighting Ngannou, Francis Ngannou, in a fight that he should 100% win. Anything can happen in a 2-horse race, don't get me wrong. He could get caught, he could get flattened, he could get knocked out by Ngannou, but it's highly unlikely if AJ sticks to his game plan, boxes and moves and makes it awkward and keeps his distance from Ngannou. So he wins that, then he just sits back with his 50 million quid added to his 100 and whatever million quid he's got, and he thinks to himself, well, I'm financially free, I've just won another fight. The fans are turning back round on his favour now. They're going against Fury because you always need a villain, don't you? And, British fans, they love it, don't they? We're very fickle as fans. We build you up, we get behind you, then we kick you down. And then when you're down and out and you're in the gutter, we like it when you climb back up. When you climb back up, you're a hero again. Happened with David Beckham, didn't it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now everyone loves him. But I think AJ, concentrate on Ngannou. Have a look at how the landscape changes because is Usyk Fury going to even happen? Usyk fights Hrgovic, anything and I don't think get delayed. That's why May 18th for me is ridiculous.
Yeah, you think?
I don't think it's realistic. There's enough time, but not if Usyk fights in a meaningful fight. I think he'll need longer.
We'll have to wait and see what happens, won't we? But someone else who was in action this weekend, we spoke about Benn Whittaker. Conor Benn was back in action. Another points win. I mean, his nickname is the Destroyer. He's not really living up to that at the moment, is he? No knockouts in his last 2 fights. But another win, and now getting on Twitter and getting a bit loud with Gervonta Davis, a lot of other people calling him out. But where do you think, what now for him next? Eddie Hearn wants to see him fight in the UK at the moment. He hasn't got a licence to. Should he be getting his licence back? Should he be giving it back?
He needs to get his licence back. Whether or not he should get it back will be determined by the appropriate authorities, the British Boxing Board of Control. They're the governing body that tell you whether or not you're fighting in Britain, and they're there to protect the fighter. He's failed 2 drugs tests, as we know. He's not had his day in court, if you like, the court being the Board of Control, and we're just sitting back waiting. He does have a big document or dossier of 200 odd pages that proves his innocence that the board I don't think have seen.
Right.
And in the meantime, whilst the protests his innocence, he's been cleared by. It gets very political and a bit too deep, but the bottom line is he'll have his hearing with the UCAD, the UK Anti-Doping Agency. I think VADA now are happy that he's tested, he's had clomiphene, now they've freed him up to fight, and there's no restrictions elsewhere but in Britain. But that's where he needs to be in Britain, because in Las Vegas when he fought at the weekend, there was no crowd, there was no atmosphere really, no one was really interested in that fight. Yeah. And unfortunately for him, he has to do that and take these fights elsewhere, and with no attention. He's under the radar. But yeah, we need to see him back on British soil.
Definitely. So there are big fights waiting to happen, really, aren't there?
Absolutely, yeah. But his biggest fight is with the border control, because he needs that licence back. And when he's got his licence, he can then fight in Britain and build himself back up. He might be building himself back up in Britain as the villain. He might have to come back as the bad guy. Say, listen, I failed to a drugs test. It is what it is. If you don't like me, I don't really care. Flip everyone the double bird and say, I'm getting on with my career. Love me or loathe me. You'll turn up and watch me fight.
It still sells tickets, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I think that's why they're trying to get the Chris Eubank Jr. fight, because that's the big one.
That's the biggest
Chris
one,
Eubank Jr. has gone silent, and Eddie Hearn's getting pissed off because he's like doing interviews, talking directly down the camera to Chris Eubank. So you're going to get paid your biggest ever payday, and he's just quiet. Yeah. I'm not sure what Chris Eubank's up to. It's a frustrating tactically.
Mysterious, yeah.
But Conor Benn went 12 rounds with a tough opponent. You mentioned he ain't got that punching power, and maybe he's not as destructive as he'd like to be, but it's his first 12 round in the bank. That'll set him in good stead moving forward for a world title. Yeah. And you can't knock everybody out.
No, that's true.
I've fought a lot of people. I've had, I think, is it 20, 21 knockouts out of 30, 33 wins. So there's a third there that got through. Some people you can't knock out, I'm one of them. Some people you hit them on the chin as hard as you can.
It just doesn't make any difference.
And he's just had a fight with a guy who's unbeaten. He's got 12 rounds, so that's a good 12 rounds in the bank now for the future moving forward.
Couple of names that were calling him out on Twitter: Josh Kelly and Frankie Gavin. You think either of those are a good fight you'd want to see, or who?
Josh Kelly's a tough fight for him. Yeah. Frankie Gavin, I think he's finished. I don't know where I hadn't heard or seen anything of Frankie Gavin. I was interested in the Gervonta Davis one. Yeah. He's the road killer from Baltimore. Mate, Gervonta Davis grew up in Baltimore. Half of his friends are either dead or in prison. He's one tough motherfucker, like real hard man. And he's a weight division below Conor Benn.
I was going to say, he'd be moving up, wouldn't he?
But I don't think that's a fight Conor Benn should be calling out. But he's been mentioning Devin Haney and names like that. And I just think Conor just needs to take his time a little bit. Take a step. I know he's desperate to fight and he wants to become a world champion. But you can't jump in with these guys in your first. You need a stepping stone. I won the Commonwealth title. I had a 12-round fight with Charles Adama. I won the British title. I fought like Robin Reid. All right, it was past his best, but he's an ex-world champion. Brian McGee was a world champion. I had 11 rounds. I knocked him out in round 11. Broke my hand in round 2, 3. And then people like Tony Dodson. And then you step up and you have an eliminator for a world title. Yeah. Then I finally fought Jean Pascal, who was another unbeaten, hungry young lion. And he was an amateur star. He won a gold medal in the Commonwealth Championships, Jean Pascal did. No After I had that 12-round fight with him, before that fight, I'd already had a few 12-rounders with seasoned professionals and ex-world champions. Conor Benn, he's done what he's done, and he's had almost a 2-year break, and now he's calling out road killers. Yeah, it's not Can't jump in with them guys. Yeah. He's not ready. He needs to just build himself back up, and like I said, he needs to get the border control licence. He needs to be licensed by the British Boxing Border Control, and then he can move on with his career.
A hypothetical question now then. One that's been doing the rounds is a prime Mike Tyson versus Tyson Fury at his peak.
Prime Mike Tyson against Tyson Fury?
At his peak, yeah.
Well, listen, the peak Tyson Fury was good behind the jab, fast on his feet and light.
Big difference in height there, wouldn't there?
Massive difference, yeah.
5'11", 5.
Yeah, he's smaller than me. I'm 6'4". He's 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah. It'd be a weird fight. It'd be like when David Haye fought, who was the guy?
Nikolai Valuev.
Yeah.
It might not be that bad. Might have been the difference. Yeah. But Mike Tyson knocked out a few big lumps and tall guys. Yeah. I think Tyson Fury would be able to keep him out of the way for an amount of time. But a peak, you're talking about a peak Mike Tyson, who was world champion at, was he 19 or 21?
Yeah, around then.
He was really young. He might have been 19. No, I think a peak Mike Tyson beats almost anybody. You know what I mean? Just the way he was, he got in there, like, he was dangerous.
Psychologically
dangerous
destroying people.
He didn't stop throwing punches. Yeah. He used to roll his way into range. If they tried to grab him, he'd push him off. And he'd throw big hooks and big uppercuts. And he'd land on the chin and render him unconscious.
Yeah,
so
terrifying.
Yeah, I think the answer to that question for me would be Mike Tyson beats Tyson Fury.
And in terms of yourself, exhibition bouts, there's been a bit
No
of
one
talk.
wants any of the smoke, do they?
Yeah, they're all a bit.
Jake Paul's bottled it. KSI never really had a go.
Yeah, no.
But Jake Paul, disappointing really. Because Jake Paul called me out. And then people say, oh, Froch is calling out Jake Paul, he's run out of money. It's like, no, do you not know Froch? He's a clever guy, he's got good investments, he's in a good position financially. You mentioned Carl Froch's name.
Yeah.
I said, go on then. You want to talk to me, let's talk.
And then
he said, fight Anderson Silva to prove yourself, then fight me. I'm like, mate, I'm 47 years old. I don't need to fight somebody.
If anyone needs to prove himself, it's Jake Paul.
Listen, I got back to Jake Paul. I said, okay, I'll fight Anderson Silva, but I'll fight Anderson Silva and I'll fight you on the same night. I'll fight both of you.
Back to back.
Because Anderson Silva, I've got no disrespect for Anderson Silva, he's a legend in the mixed martial arts game. Yeah. And I wouldn't like to fight him, but if I had to, I would do. And I'd make easy work of it, because he's not a professional boxer.
No, yeah.
And then I'd go in there after beating him and just absolutely just obliterate.
Obliterate him.
Obliterate.
Oh, Jake Paul, there you go.
Jake Paul.
Well, what has he been doing recently? I don't know. Is he
just talking shite and fighting.
Someone else who you've been talking to.
Yeah, and looking awful in his fights.
How about Tony Bellew? Would you get in a ring with him?
Well, I mentioned Tony Bellew, tongue in cheek. It was a bit of a laugh. Me and Tony Bellew were mates.
You're mates.
And yeah, someone asked me what would happen in a fight if you and Tony Bellew fought. And obviously, I'd back myself. We had hundreds of rounds of sparring, me and Tony Bellew. Of
course, he did. Yeah, right.
So I know how that would go, that fight, and I think it'd be a good fight. But at this moment in time,
it's not going to happen.
I'm not 47 yet. Actually, I'm 46. I always take a year off because I'm in my 47th year. You see. I turned 47 in July.
I see. What's your metabolic age?
I don't know. I feel 21.
There you go.
We always feel 21 though. My granddad, when he was 78, said I feel 21.
Yeah, it's all about the psychology as much as the physicality. Okay, last time we spoke, we mentioned Callum Smith and Beterbiev on the side, and after he schooled him, let's be honest, and then there was some kind of words of allegations about perhaps that he'd been doping and things. Tony Bellew was one of the people that came out, and other Smith brothers. You think that's just sour grapes from them? I mean, they can't just take the fact that he was the better man on the night, really.
Yeah, I think it was unnecessary, but I don't understand why an atypical finding even gets flagged. If it's not illegal, why even mention it?
Yeah.
I think my understanding of an atypical finding of high levels of testosterone in the blood just means it's not normal, but it's not illegal.
Right.
They've not found any foreign substances
It's
in the body.
different from when Tyson Fury.
Yeah, and it depends how you train. I do deadlifts really heavy. I do 170 kilo deadlift now. I used to lift a bit more, but I need to be careful with my back.
Yeah.
I mean, and I've got nothing to prove. Yeah, exactly. Bad posture. It's not good for you. I do clean and press. So you picking the weight off the ground and it's on your chest, and then you're squatting above your head or pressing it above your head.
Yeah.
And they release, believe it or not, they release growth hormone. So your spinal fluid releases a dopamine. And then, I don't know the full science or the chemistry behind it, but by doing deadlifts, when I do deadlifts heavy, I can press more on the bench press because I'm charged, I feel stronger, because it releases a natural endorphin, and it releases growth hormone and testosterone. So what I'd say about Beterbiev, this is a 40-year-old man whose testosterone levels should be dipping. And as you get to that age, up towards 40, you start to lose weight because your T levels drop, your skeletal muscle starts to diminish. I was 12 stone when I boxed. 76 kilograms, I think that is, in new money. I'm now 14 stone, which is nearly 200 pounds. So I've put 2 stone on since retiring.
Yeah.
And I'm not approaching 50, because I'm not quite 47 yet, but you know where I'm going.
You're going against the trend.
I'm on the other side of 40, but I live clean, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I lift heavy weights, I take protein supplements.
That's exactly what Beterbiev does.
And that's what he does, but more meticulous than me, because I will have the odd pint of Guinness, I will have the odd shot of tequila, I will go out every now and again, but he doesn't.
No,
he's a devout Muslim, he's very religious to the core, and he's very strict, and he's a family man, he stays at home, and he trains like a beast.
Well, perhaps Callum Smith and the other Scousers can't get their head around that, so maybe they're trying to find other reasons.
This is the thing, obviously it's easy to accuse somebody of doing something when the governing bodies do a drugs test and say, oh, there's an atypical finding, and I think it's just ignorance. If you don't understand what that means, then you'll think, right, it's doping. Yeah. If you're doping, you'd get banned and you'd get found out. It's just high doses. If they tested my blood, mate, there's all sorts in there. Kryptonite and all sorts.
Okay, another fight this weekend. Joshua Boatsy against Aziz. Did you catch any of that?
I did, yeah, I was there.
Oh, of course you were there.
Yeah, I was working for TalkSport. My TalkSport colleagues.
Yeah.
sat ringside. Good fight. I thought.
Another one that had been delayed and postponed.
Yeah, Joshua Boatsi's had a great career. He was bronze medal Olympic winner. Well, he won the bronze in the Olympics, and so he's got good amateur pedigree. Dan Aziz didn't have a glossy amateur career.
No, he's grinded up through the ranks, isn't he?
He's a good fighter, and he's not a big puncher, and I think that was his downfall that night, because he'd landed some good shots. He was landing the jab, he was landing the hooks. He went in there, he was dressed like the late great marvellous Marvin Hagler. He had the shorts on, the socks pulled up to his knees, the chiselled thighs, and his body looked great. I was just looking at him thinking, he looks like Marvin Hagler. It's like inspirational how well he looked physically. And Joshua Boatsi's a fine specimen of athlete as well, a great fighter. Like I said, Olympic bronze medalist. And Boatsi was outboxing him early. A couple of early rounds were shared, but then from round 4 to around 8 or 9, about 5 or 6 rounds, Boatsi was just boxing behind his jab, landing body shots. And on me, it was close enough to score it. No, you couldn't even score it either way, them rounds. Them rounds were actually quite wide.
Was it a unanimous decision in the end?
It was, yeah. So he won probably 5 rounds on the spin, Boatsi, on my card. But then Dan Aziz started coming back into it. It was rolling in close, landing the jab, and then getting some hooks off. And he stopped Boatsi in his tracks a couple of times. But what happened was he got hit with a shot, he took the shot and then tried to move, and his feet slipped from under him. Like literally on the canvas was wet on the sponsorship. So the print on the canvas, I mean, what's happening in this day and age?
That's a strange
one. You walk down some dangerous steps to put paint on that's got grit in it. And you don't slip on the end of the step because you're going to break your neck. So you go into a boxing ring, there's water or sweat on the canvas, creating a slippy patch. And for me, it ruined the fight. Because Dan Aziz had a really good round 9 and 10. Then he got dropped. He got hit with a shot, but he took it. But when you take a shot to the chin, you then have to move and roll. So you have to push your foot on the ground. And if that foot's underwater and it slips, you fall over. So that happened twice. And then that was scored 10-8 rounds, and it killed the score for him. For me, it ruined the fight. I'm not sure the result would have been any different, but Dan Aziz was getting back into it. So he'll come again, Dan Aziz. He proved that he's a top fighter that belongs in the mix at light heavyweight. And Joshua Boatsi now is faced with Beterbiev, who we've talked about, and what's his name?
Bivol.
Dimitri Bivol.
Yeah.
And they're the two monsters of the division.
Yeah.
I mean, who wins that fight? I don't know.
That's
maybe Bivol. Maybe Bivol on speed and movement and boxing. But if Beterbiev gets near him, he'll hurt him. Maybe even stop him.
Serious fight, that one.
But he's mandatory now. WBA mandatory for the winner of that. So if you're just getting to that level now where you're going to challenge for a world title, you don't really want to be fighting an established world champion like that. You need a bridging fight.
Yeah. Definitely. Someone else who fought this weekend, heavyweight, Johnny Fisher. I don't think you saw the fight, well, Jess said, but anyway, someone who's on the up, demolished his opponent in the first round. Obviously, he's got a long way to go, didn't have much of an amateur career, but how far do you think he could go from what you've seen? Good
fighter, great work ethic, lovely lad as well. And I just missed the fight, unfortunately, because I was down the M1, we had a bit of trouble on the roads, and I had to be there for 7. I got there on time, but by the time I got into the venue, he'd already dismantled his opponent. I think it was the best prospect at the last boxing awards that I was at.
Yeah,
he won the award for best prospect.
Yeah, indeed.
No, good fighter. Yeah. Really good fighter, Johnny Fisher. His dad's funny with the old Bosch.
Yeah,
he talks so good, and his dad does. And,
big man, Big John.
Yeah, hopefully he can go onwards and upwards with a great career, because he's got the right work ethic, and he's got some skills, and he can punch a bit.
Toughness.
He's a big lump, big tough lump, and I think he'll do well.
Yeah, good. Let's see how he gets on. But like you said, he's got a few fights to go before he starts stepping up through the.
Yeah, absolutely. He needs to be developed. He needs to be developed, but he's got
Southern area champion.
Yeah.
So it's got a way to go, but hopefully he does it. Yeah, the Romford Bull.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, a couple more questions. I don't know if you follow WWE ever. Back in the day, did you watch wrestling?
I used to always watch wrestling.
Yeah.
Jake the Snake Roberts,
Jake the
the Bushwhackers. George Groves walked to the ring like the Bushwhackers when he fought me at Wembley. He was walking all chilled, then all of a sudden he went into the Bushwhacker.
You're Legion of Doom.
Exactly. The Undertaker, Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
I mentioned Jake the Snake, but the main one was the Hulk Hogan. He's the master. He did a podcast with Joe Rogan probably about 3 months ago.
Right. So even back in those times when we were watching it, Vince McMahon was the main man. He didn't
Who's that?
Vince McMahon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the owner.
Yeah.
But now recently, he's obviously there's all these allegations have been coming out against him, and he's had to step down and resign from it, which doesn't bode well.
What are the allegations? I don't think I've seen much of it.
Kind of sexual assault type things, and a bit sort of weird stuff been going on with the other employees. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I've not seen anything
about that.
No, not at all. I do watch the wrestling if it's on. I mean, I don't know when I watched the last wrestling match actually. I just keep up with little bits on social media. But I did used to be a massive wrestling
Royal Rumble.
I used to think the Royal Rumble was real. and Hulk Hogan gets angry when you say wrestling's fake, because it's not fake, but it is choreographed.
Yeah.
But it can't be fake because he had 17 operations on his back.
I think
he's fucked. All his spine's fused. He's had operations on his hip. He's banging trouble, but he's still in his 70s. He's still representing.
Yeah.
So when you say wrestling's fake, yeah, they know what's going to happen. They know who's going to win. They know the outcome. But they're still jumping off the top rope, doing backflips and landing on the neck.
Yeah, off the cage. Remember Mankind off the cage and all that. Yeah.
So it's real from that sense.
Definitely.
It's physically really, really like enduring on the body.
Demanding.
It's dangerous.
Yeah.
Like American football.
And
some of them up fronts, they've got 2-year careers.
True. Ice skating as well can be quite demanding on the body, as Ricky Hatton found out.
Ricky Hatton, I've not seen much of him. Is he finished in that?
Yeah, he got kicked off. He was first off.
Was he any good?
Well, not the public didn't think so. No.
I'd have a bit of that ice skating. I wouldn't do much on the TV. I don't think I'd do the jungle. I wouldn't do the dance, Strictly Come Dancing. But I'd have a bit of ice skating.
Yeah.
Just I'd do a bit with the kids at the weekend. And I used to always go ice skating every Saturday. They used to have the roller. They used to have the disco.
Yeah.
To have all the music.
We go down the ice hockey as well.
In the 80s, all the 80s music was on.
And Kel Brooks said he fancies a go at dancing on ice too. So have a little dance off.
Luke Campbell did the dancing on ice. Luke Campbell.
Well,
he did all right. Yeah.
All right, could be. You go next year. Carl Froch, get down on the ice.
Yeah, don't get too excited.
No, okay.
If they ring me up, I'll be like, change my mind.
Yeah. What else have we got? Conor McGregor, new Roadhouse trailer. What did you make of it? And do you think he could pursue a full-time acting career?
Is that a film he's doing?
Yeah, I believe so.
I saw a clip where Conor McGregor looked really good. Like he looked quite big. He put some weight on. He was in shape, and I don't know if he was playing himself, but it was pretty good. I was quite impressed with the clip I saw.
Could he be the next Sylvester Stallone? Is the question I've got here.
I don't know about the next Sylvester Stallone. Maybe the next Vinnie Jones or something like that, but not Stallone. Stallone's a legend, mate. He wrote all his own scripts, then he acted parts. He got kicked in the teeth how many times by Hollywood. No one wanted to have him, and then he stuck with it. Didn't sell the script for Rocky when he could have done and made more money than he's ever had. Right. Did it himself, and then he got that big legacy of Rocky films.
Rambo as well. Yeah. And what's your favourite apart from the Rocky films?
The First Blood Part 1's like the ultimate for me. The original First Blood, which is like Rambo #1.
Yeah.
And it was like a ex-Vietnam vagrant.
I remember,
And then the sheriff comes and tries to kick him out, and he goes renegade, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's
goes
it.
AWOL.
Yeah.
But no, that's probably my favourite film, First Blood Part 1.
Yeah, he had a stellar career, still going, isn't he? I don't know if he's still making films, but he's still out there doing
I've
stuff.
just watched him on, what have I just watched him in? Actually, I just watched his documentary on Netflix. But what did he do? He was a bit of an old gangster. I forgot what it's called.
I'll have to look it up.
I can't remember, because there's that many bloody stuff he's done. But the latest one, he was really cheesy. But because it was him, I just allowed it and accepted it. But I forgot what it was called. You'll have to
we'll check it out.
But it was a good one.
I think we've wrapped it up then.
You're done, yeah?
Yeah, I think it's been a lot of boxing, but I think we've covered quite a lot today. Yeah. So until next time.
Yeah.
All right, pleasure once again, as always.
Always, mate.
Thank you. Cheers.